And then one day I just started mixing stuff in my kitchen, used it on myself. And within a few weeks, my audience started noticing like, oh, Daisy, like your skin looks so much better. Like the red marks on your face is gone. Like, where can I buy whatever it is you're using?
Do you want to impact the world and still turn a profit? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Growth Everywhere. This is the show where you'll find real conversations with real entrepreneurs. They'll share everything from their biggest struggle to the exact strategies they use on a daily basis. So if you're ready for a value-packed interview, listen on. Here's your host, Eric Sue.
Before we jump into today's interview, if you guys could leave a review and a rating and also subscribe as well, that would be a huge help to the podcast. So if you actually enjoy the content and you'd like to hear more of it, please support us by leaving us a review and subscribe to the podcast as well. Thanks so much. All right, everybody. Today we have a special guest who's actually a friend of mine who's also an entrepreneur's organization. Her name is Daisy Jing. She's the CEO of Banish, and I'll let her talk about what that is in a second. So Daisy, how's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of who you are and what your business is?
I am Daisy. I'm 20 years old, live in LA, grew up in Minnesota. My company is Banish, banishacnescars.com or banishacne.com, and we are a natural solution for skin problems. So currently, when you think of wanting to get rid of like skin blemishes, you think of ingredients like salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide, more harsh chemicals. We provide a natural solution using organic ingredients to help combat skin blemishes. So I started the company in 2013 out of my kitchen, and now we've scaled to about 15 people.
Got it. And how many, in terms of revenues, just give it a range. You don't have to be exact with it, but how are you guys doing in terms of revenues today?
I would say we're in the multiple seven figures. Or not, yeah.
Cool. Would you say that's close to 4 or 5 million?
Getting there. So I would say between like the threes.
Okay. Got it. Okay, cool. And then I think one thing I want to talk about too, how did you cut your teeth growing this business? I know you did really well through social media. So what did you do exactly to start to really blow this thing up?
Yeah, so I tell everyone that I would never have been able to start this unless I had my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel is Dazers89, and I started it in 2008, 2009. And I just started it because I had acne problems, and I would just be reviewing skincare products. And I was just this normal girl in my dorm room reviewing beauty products. And I developed a following. It wasn't huge, but it was enough to get me enough trust in terms of launching this product. So actually, the funny story is when I started this business, I had no intention of starting it. It was very accidental. So I did my YouTube channel. I had really bad acne, just wanted to help people with their skin problems and review products for them. And I developed a following and a community. And then one day I just started mixing stuff in my kitchen, used it on myself. And within a few weeks, my audience started noticing like, oh, Daisy, like your skin looks so much better. Like the red marks on your face is gone. Like where can I buy whatever it is you're using? And then my mom started noticing too. And so I just put I made a few batches, put it in bottles, shipped it out, USPS, and that's kind of how it started. But I really do believe it's the story and it's my community and my videos that really helped grow this business and like even give the first initial 1,000 orders. Like without the YouTube, nothing would have happened.
Got it. And then did you have like one video that blew up?
There's a video where it's called Growing Up Ugly, and that has, I think, like 200,000 views. And that was very like it was an accident. I just made it one day, Friday night. And that was when I had the acne problems. But I feel like that video was so vulnerable and I was so like raw about my struggles with my skin and my appearance that I feel like a lot of people related to me and trusted me. And I think in skincare and in cosmetics and in beauty, you just want trust, right? Because there's just so many products out there. You want to be able to trust whoever is making or using it. So I feel like that was a huge source of credibility for people to trust my product.
Got it. And then, so what do your YouTube numbers look like today in terms of subscribers and number of total views?
Yeah, so number of total views is at 60 million, subscribers at 200,000-ish. Honestly, the recent couple of years, I've been struggling with my time in terms of producing content, because before it was like I had 40, 50 hours a week just to make content on YouTube. I didn't have a business to run. And so now it's like I have the business to run, and the YouTube has kind of been like, I don't really have time to like focus myself into that. So the views are dying a little bit, I will be honest. But we've also worked with a lot of other amazing partners and influencers who have helped create content for us.
Got it. Okay, so now that you've not been able to create as much content, you're kind of going to other influencers or people that have a following there, and then you're kind of leveraging their following.
Yeah, or just having them make content for us, finding other people who have a similar story to me and sharing their advice on their skincare tips, or however they manage their acne. I mean, when I'm looking at what role I want to play in the company, I never wanted to be a YouTube celebrity. That was never my intention. I just wanted to be a trusted source of information to help people with their skin and their confidence. I don't want to be Instagram famous. I don't want to be YouTube famous. I kind of want to stay out of that. So I figure that I want to be, the person running the business, and I will kind of try to tear myself a little bit away from being the face of the business.
Got it. And so that's what's happening now, because the videos used to be just you, and now it's other people making it. So it feels like it's all about fighting kind of acne or having better skin. And I guess my question would also be, when you were first starting out, how much content were you producing? What did that cadence look like per week?
Oh my gosh, I was crazy. I spent 50, 60 hours a week, and doing this because I didn't make any money from the YouTube either, right? So I was just hustling, making out content. I would think about, what new products are launching. Okay, can I go to the drugstore and get that product before anybody else does, and do a review on it? I would make probably videos every other day. I think that was
Got it. Okay. So what's your secret to getting to, did you say 16 million, 16 or 60?
60, yeah. Total views, yeah.
What is the secret? Is it consistency? Is it just volume? What is it?
I really think you have to be crazy persistent, right? It's taken me, 2009, 8 years to get to where I am now. And so in the beginning, you're just making video after video after video, and you start off making a video with 3 views, 2 of which are yours, and then it goes to 10, and then it goes to 100, then it goes to 1,000. I just think you just have to keep doing it, and you have to love it so much, because I don't really know what drove me to to work so hard in the beginning. I really think it was because I formed a bond with my audience, and we all shared this commonality of being a little insecure about the way we looked and our skin. And so that kind of pushed me to keep making content, even though I wasn't making, money from it, or, even though it took a lot of my time.
Yeah. We talked about in the beginning, when we did that, I think we did a Facebook Live, and it was basically, hey, after the first year, I was only getting 9 downloads a day on this podcast, and then you just kept going with it, right? And then I think you talked about, your response was basically you keep going, and then once you hit 10,000 subscribers, it's a slog to get there, but afterwards it becomes a lot easier. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it becomes a lot easier. I think collaborations is important. So once you reach a certain amount, people want to collab with you, right? They're not going to collab with someone who's just starting out. So that also helps. And you get invited to a lot of events where you can meet other people and get more exposure. And then, it's kind of a domino. But I feel like they always say the first 1,000 customers are hard. I would say maybe the first 1,000 subscribers, probably now 10,000 or 100,000 subscribers is pretty hard.
Got it. So how long did it take you to get to about 10,000 subscribers, and how long did it take you to go from 10,000 to 100,000?
10,000 maybe 3 years, and then 10,000 to 100,000 maybe 2.
Wow. Okay. So it's sped up quite a bit. Got it. That's awesome. So how did you? You spoke about acquiring the first 1,000 customers. So you have your subscribers. We talked about YouTube, but how did you go about acquiring your first 1,000 customers? Was it just because of the community, or what was it?
Yeah, I really believe it was the community. I think all my 1,000 customers came from the YouTube channel, and because they knew me. And I really didn't think it was going to take off. I remember because I was doing all this myself. I remember buying all the bubble mailers from Office Depot and stuff, and buying all the bubble wrap from Target, and they'd be sold out of it. But yeah, it was all through my community, and it was funny because they would also email me and call me, and I would pick up the phone, and they're like, "Wait, is this the same girl? Is this the same Daisy I watch in the YouTube videos?" So yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
So that was how I got the first 1,000 customers. In terms of the next, maybe 10,000 customers or whatever. It was more through, I had some friends who were also like, influencers as well. So I sent them the products and then they reviewed it. So it's kind of reaching my network to get them to review it.
How do you find these people to review your stuff? Because you mentioned, I think we talked about this in the past too. It's like you'll find influencers on Instagram, YouTube, things like that. And there's no marketplace yet to find these influencers. I think somebody's going to tackle that. But how do you go about doing that? What's your process?
Yeah, so right now we have a pretty rigorous system of how we do it. And I don't think it's as easy as just sending people products and expecting them to review it. I think the biggest thing is you have to look for people who aren't big yet, because once they get big, they get very expensive. And we've noticed that you don't necessarily get an ROI if you work with someone who's very established. So we try to work with people when they're smaller and build a relationship with them. And sometimes they'll blow up, right? And so that's kind of how we do it. But it's really, you have to do it day after day after day after day. You have to figure out what your marketing channel is, and then just keep at it day after day after day. And so now we have a team who does that all the time. And I think I'm also very good at spotting influencers. So when I watch a girl on YouTube or I see her on Instagram and I notice she has that spark that will allow her to grow and blow up in the next year, I just do whatever I can to contact her and make sure that we're able to work with her.
What is that spark?
I don't really know, but I've noticed that something I'm pretty good at is I'm able to notice something and figure out if it'll grow or not. And so someone who's very relatable, funny, I think she has to be a little aspirational too. She has to be that person that people want to be, but at the same time relatable, right? So there's that fine balance. And if you just look at the numbers, is she growing? Is she very engaged? Does she have that cult-like following? Does she have that it factor?
Got it. Cool. Do you look at any specific numbers, engagement rates, and if so, what do those numbers look like?
No, not necessarily numbers, but I think I look more at engagement rates, and also a huge part of it is she or he known for being sponsored? Because, if she's known as a Kim Kardashian, right? Just being sponsored all the time, that's probably not going to be beneficial for a small company. So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So you got that, you have, your community, you have people that you're reaching out to. Is there anything else that you're doing that's really effective in terms of customer acquisition?
We have a lot of repeat customers, so that has helped. So it's not a huge struggle and always, direct response marketing. We've been toying a little bit with Facebook now, but I really think it's figure out what you're good at and just stick with that. At the same time, YouTube is getting expensive, Instagram is getting expensive. So just learning what the new social media channels are, where the influencers are moving into, and learn that system. So you can do the same with influencer marketing on a different platform.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's super important. I actually was on a podcast earlier today, and then this guy was asking me all this stuff, and I'm like, you just need to stick with one thing first, make it work, and then you could expand into other areas, which is basically you started with the community first, and then you started to venture out into these other areas, right?
Yeah, and I tried, I think more paid advertising and all that. And we tried putting our ads in newspapers and stuff. It didn't work out. It didn't work out because I didn't know how to tweak the system, and I didn't know how to work it in that secret spot to make it work. Right. And so I feel you just have to pick that one thing and really tweak it. So that way you gotta work the system in that, because, for me, I can't do affiliate. I tried affiliate marketing. It didn't work. I lost money on that. So figure out what it is that you're good at, stick with it.
Totally. Affiliate marketing, that's a completely different beast. I remember when I first got into it a long time ago for a company I was at, I basically read this tome. It's called Affiliate Marketing 1 Hour a Day. So that's the entire Bible about it. And it's a full-time job basically. So if you can't dedicate time to it, it's definitely a money loser for sure. So what's one big struggle you faced while growing this business? I know you've told me about a lot of different things going on, but what's one big thing that kind of sticks out to you?
Yeah. So I think one big thing right now is I need to learn how to think bigger and stop thinking about trying to save every single dollar and trying to do it all, because I started this out of my kitchen and I'm very resourceful, and I was doing everything from the beginning, learning how to do everything. Even now, I still want to learn, how do I do this marketing? How do I do that? Right? How do I do this? And I realized I can't do it all myself. And so the next step is really hiring people who are just way smarter than me, so that way they can support me in building this. But that is something I personally myself have to learn how how to let go and be able to like, hand over, right, that part of my baby.
Right. Totally makes sense. I think oftentimes, I mean, when we start anything, we suck at delegating because, well, I know you and I were probably control freaks. So learning to let go of that's super important. So, I mean, what's one big change that you made, let's say in the last year that's impacted your life dramatically? Could be business, could be personal, and can be positive or negative.
Yeah. So this year I was like, oh, I'm going to like live in different places within LA. So that way I'm not stuck at the office. So I was there every day and everyone would ask me so many questions. And I like from like, what kind of toilet paper do we buy? And I was just like so annoyed, like, oh, you have to ask me every little thing. Right. So I realized I need to give people autonomy and let them kind of, create their own systems and processes that work well for them. And so I actually am not in the office very much. I'm in there maybe once or twice a month. And I try to also limit the amount of time and interaction I have with my employees. So that way they can have like more autonomy and like take ownership of work they do and stop feeling like they have to ask me for every little thing. So that has helped. And so what I do is I just have one-on-ones with everybody or like the managers or my direct reports like once a week or once every other week to make sure everything's going okay. And kind of going it at a position of how can I support you and what you want to do versus like, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? So that has been working well. And I always tell them, bring me solutions, right? If you have a problem, bring me the solution and tell me why, you don't think these solutions work, but don't ask me for the solution because I don't know your job as well as you do. So that has been, something I've done just to kind of figure out, can I really operate this business from anywhere? So that has helped a lot.
So you're confident that you can basically work wherever you want now?
Yeah, I can work everywhere I want. And then the company, like, if I'm out for a day or if I'm out for a week, like it still runs itself. It still runs smoothly.
Got it. And so do you have like an operations person or a number two that kind of oversees the office operations?
I have, I would say maybe like 3 or 4 number twos. So I've learned not to give like everything to a number two because that could be very overwhelming. And then, if they are to leave or go somewhere else, it's kind of risky. So you have multiple, I guess, number twos for whatever silo it is that they're working on. Oh, and then the other thing I was going to say about your last question, what else have you done? I've also kind of stopped developing like friendships with people I've worked with because we are all very young women, like similar peers. I was put in a situation where it was just very awkward for me because I knew something about, someone and I had to make like a business decision based on that knowledge. And then I just realized, what, work is work. And to be respected as a leader, I'm your boss, right? I give you the paycheck every 2 weeks. I'm not your best friend. So that was also something I had to struggle with because before I would hang out with them, we would eat, I would tell them about my life and all that. And then I realized, what, that's probably not the best way to be respected for me.
Totally. Well, I feel like there's more behind that. Did people start to kind of disrespect you? Like, what happened?
No, it's not they disrespect me, but I personally, I don't feel comfortable like being best friends with people I work with. That's just me. I prefer to have my personal life and I prefer to have professional life because I think when time comes to make the hard decisions, you want to base it on, the work, right? You don't want to have like other things interfering with how you base decisions and you want to be fair to everyone. So for me, I just want to say work is work and your personal is your personal.
That's fair. All right. What's one new tool that you've added in the last year that's added a lot of value to you? So you can say like an Evernote, for example, or a Dropbox.
I actually, I use like all the stuff like a lot of people use, but I've actually started using like voice messaging. So I'll do like WhatsApp, the voice messenger, and I'll do that to my admin. And it makes things a lot easier versus like having to respond to emails or like text. Like I don't like responding to emails because I feel like that's what I do all day. So it's really great for me to press a button while I'm driving, send him a voice memo, and then he just takes that and puts it on his to-do list. So I try to send voice memos whenever I can.
Holy crap. I'm totally going to steal that. You know what's funny? Earlier today, someone was sending me all these texts through voice. I was like, why is this guy sending it through voice? And my mom learned to do that like the other day. I'm like, God, like how did she learn how to do that? So I guess it's becoming bigger now, but that actually, me sending it to my EA, that actually is a really good tip. So I'm going to steal that.
Yeah. And sometimes I send the Skype. You can send like a 2-minute video via Skype. And sometimes at the end of the day at like 11 p.m. when I think of a new idea, I'll just like record it on video and send it to them via Skype so that way I don't call them late at night. But I find that, voice and like video sometimes is more personable. And
so you're sending them a selfie video at 11 when you're about to go to sleep?
Yeah, I always have these crazy ideas that come to me, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to record it before I before I forget. So yeah, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. I think this is a topic for another time, but I've learned to kind of step away in terms of being the lightning bolt all the time, because that's basically the guy that comes up with all these ideas all the time and keeps dropping all these ideas in front of people, and people start to like fear you when you come with all these ideas. So I'm trying to dial that back a little bit, but that's a good point. Well, what's one, I guess we'll make this two things. So what's one book that you recommend to everyone? It could be business, could be anything.
Well, I would say starting off would be the E-Myth, because I remember reading that while I was working out of my kitchen, and it was like, learning how to delegate and learning that you cannot be the technician if you want to run this company. So after reading that book, I was making maybe $3,000 a month. So not a lot. But I went from a K and, at like $10 an hour. And I realized, wow, like that was such a big help to have an assistant and to learn how to manage her and delegate tasks. So without that book, I probably would have tried to do everything on my own. That's a great one starting out.
Yep. Great book. Okay, so what's one, we can make this multiple things. So what's one blog or podcast that you listen to every day or read?
I definitely listen to your podcast. I definitely listen to Growth Everywhere. So I'm not just saying that because I'm on here. I actually do listen. Yeah, I do listen because you're very like you get tactical information from entrepreneurs who are like you. So I would say your podcast.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Thank you for that. So this has been great. Daisy, what's the best way for people to find you online?
Yeah, they can email me, daiserz@gmail.com.
All right, cool. Well, Daisy, thanks so much for doing this, and a lot of good takeaway advice here. Hopefully you guys, all of you that ask me all the time, how do you grow a YouTube channel or how do you work with influencers? This is it. So thanks again, Daisy.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Growth Everywhere. If you loved what you heard, be sure to head back to growtheverywhere.com for today's show notes and a ton of additional resources. But before you go, hit the subscribe button to avoid missing out on next week's value-packed interview. Enjoy the rest of your week, and remember to take action and continue growing.